Hi, my name's Stuart Bott, and this is my video tour of the website that I've created for my e-portfolio for MIT 885. I'm just actually going to start probably with the thing that excited me the most out of creating this website. It's actually one of the documents which was one of the hardest to complete, but it is the professional development plan. The reason I got excited about this is I can see myself implementing this when school starts. So essentially, when we finished school last year, I am at Wilson Elementary School and we have 3 Year 5 teachers. We have about 70 students, or we did last year, and the students would rotate through the different teachers, and we would be specialists in 2 subjects. So I was a specialist in reading and social studies. So because of the COVID-19 pandemic, we got together with our principal and we've decided to be self-contained for the upcoming school year. So that means I will have one class of 24 students, but the implications of that is I need to be able to teach every subject. So I need to teach the other 2 teachers about social studies and reading, but then I need to learn about their subjects, maths, science, writing, and grammar. So my professional development plan was about how I will showcase the different technologies that I've used and to help my 2 peers integrate technology into reading and social studies when they go to teach that. So with my professional development plan, the focus was to create a Google site, and we can all collaborate with that, and we will put all our subject areas into that, any resources and that kind of stuff. So my plan was we meet every week. We have a Year 5 cohort meeting which lasts about an hour, where we share whatever is going on at the time. So my professional development plan is sharing the different resources that I've used, and I will showcase some of those in the tour coming up. But what I really liked about it is I used the ISTE standards throughout the whole lot. So I used coaches because I will be coaching my 2 peers. Education leader, I used some of those standards, but I also used a educator standards, but then the student standards are what I want to see my students doing. So the ISTE standards are very important because it acts as a guide, and if I can use that guide to help me create lessons and help me with my planning, then I know I'm on the right track. Now, I believe the different standards help you create, they help you make sure that you're integrating technology instead of just using it for technology's sake. So throughout this degree and all the courses, I've been going through all the different standards and seeing how they apply to the specific projects or assignments that I've been doing. So I'll continue to use the ISTE standards as an educator, but also I'll introduce these or reintroduce them to my peers as well. So the professional development plan, I can just open up the document here. So really what I've got is just the different technologies. So I've got the purpose behind it, and that is to educate my 2 peers, and it's going to be a wiggly thing there, but we're doing different things. So we're going to go through our district prescribed resources, but then show how we can introduce technology with these so they complement the resources that are prescribed from our district. And then I've got tutorial that starts off with Google Translate, because I had a Spanish speaking student last year, and I'm not sure of the student cohort coming up in the next upcoming year, but it's a great assistive technology for educators, especially for our students as well, if they're English language learners. So that's where I wanted to start with, but then looking at Screencastify, Screencast-O-Matic, so different technologies to create videos, and especially if we start online and if school was not back in due to the pandemic, that's what we'll be looking at. Then we go through different presentations we can use, book creators, so making electronic books, even how to create a website. I've done one for reading and one for social studies, so I will go over that with my peers. Presentations with Prezi, but then how to create a video with Prezi as well while you're looking at the Prezi presentation. Infogram and maybe Venngage, so different infographic websites, and then Coggle, Lucidchart, so how we can make some mind maps and some graphs included for these subject areas. But then finishing with presentations. So they're just some of the things that I'd like to introduce to my peers. So I'm just going to close out of that. But that was my professional development plan. Creating this ePortfolio, we had to go back in and look at our technology philosophy. So we all, as educators, have a philosophy of what we believe education looks like or how it should be and how we should teach. But it made me go back and rethink, well, now that I'm utilizing more technology, how does that look? There is a change between that and then just your education philosophy, I believe. So that does slightly change that. So that is down there. Leadership philosophy. This is important, especially for me, to teach my peers about the social studies and reading. As a leader, in my leadership philosophy, I just put, well, you can be a bad leader. So we have to be mindful of that. So there are bad leaders out there. We want to be someone who is doing the right thing, someone who's a good leader, who's respectful, but also a leader can learn from the people they're leading. And, that to me, that equals collaboration. And that's what I'm looking for with my fellow peers. The resume, I have updated that. Being an immigrant into the United States, we have a slightly different format back in Australia, so I kind of had to redo that. Back in Australia, and especially for education, your cover letter when applying for jobs has to be 5 pages long at least, and your resume is 3 pages. So it was slightly different over here when I've been taught to do 1 or 2 pages, but that is the resume. So activity evidence, this was probably the most fun part of the ePortfolio, putting together the different videos, the presentations, that kind of stuff. So I've just got the American Revolution project. So this is something that I will be showcasing to my peers. But essentially, we teach from a textbook, the American Revolution. So now we've got some digital creations to help with the learning. So I've got a presentation there. That was just a tutorial video of how I would be using this. And then what I was looking at here was media literacy. So I was introduced to Renee Hobbs, who's an expert in media literacy, but it is so important. And, this is something I wouldn't have thought about before doing this degree. So that's, I've put that in there in one of my philosophies, or I've put it somewhere in my transference reflection about media literacy, learning about that. So one of my other presentations is for reading. So this is an actual lesson. We have a prescribed program, and there is not too much technology there, so I've decided to change that and integrate it. So this is how we can use, by following the program, but how we can use technology. And what I've done here is we're graphing an internal and external quest of a character. So it's one of the lessons, but it's where we can actually get students to utilize technology for a deeper learning and a deeper understanding. My third one here is going back to social studies, and it's actually one of the first units we teach. I've created a website, and this I will put onto that website, but it's a presentation of their project. And then there's a video tutorial where I talk about what I'm looking for, how we put it together, and that kind of stuff. And then my my article for here was augmented reality. So it's something I'd like to introduce more into my teaching. Extra resources. Again, this was a fun page to put together, but it made me go back and look at all the stuff that I have done throughout this degree. So it's a website that I created for reading. So cyberbullying, so it's a presentation to teach peers. This is an infogram about internet safety, so there's some of your media literacy coming through. Ancient American civilization, so that is a presentation I can use for one of my units. Again, this one here, taught liability, is going back to, that's focused on teaching educators or reteaching educators, or like a refresher, so to speak. Protecting students' rights, who they want to be, again, that would be for directed at educators. Augmented reality, more directed at educators, but it is information about how we can utilize it into our teaching. Google Sites, learning strategies. So this is just different strategies we can use with technologies. And then my last one here was just about using videos and how we can integrate videos into our teaching. And especially with the pandemic and everything has gone online, it is so important that we can teach through video tutorials and that kind of stuff. And from here we just have the evaluation with the peer reviews and the faculty review form, which will be done once we have done our comprehensive exam. And then the reflection is my transference reflection. So just looking at how I have kind of changed over this course, and a lot of this was going back and to reflect not only this course but the whole entire degree is what it made me look at. And probably the main thing here is the conjecture stage is, you know, I asked myself, what can I do to ensure that I continue to utilize technology but also search out new technologies. And to me that's very important to continue that, because I want to be up to date with different technologies, and as I continue to find them and think, hey, I can integrate that, I can use that here, I will pull them into my teaching program. So that's it. So thanks a lot for watching.